What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazik of the Fight Guys, and I'm going to talk to you today about the UFC and Conor McGregor in 2020. I wrote this up on Forbes. It is shaping up to be one heck of a year, potentially. Conor McGregor, as you may know, is set to return to the octagon to face Donald Cowboy Cerrone on January the 18th in Las Vegas. McGregor is no longer a world champion, but without a doubt, he's still the biggest name in the sport. His fans travel like perhaps no other combat sports fan, no other combat sports athlete that I can think of, maybe Ricky Hatton. They travel very well, and of course, he does have some haters as well, and they will watch in hopes of seeing him take his second loss in a row after falling to Khabib Nurmagomedov back in October 2018. But per ESPN's Ariel Helwani, McGregor is already looking at two more fights in 2020 if he beats Cerrone. So Cerrone obviously is 36-year-old veteran, could be a tough fight, but most people believe that Conor will come out on top. If he does beat Cerrone, there are reports that he's eyeing a mid-year scrap with Jorge Masvidal or a rematch with Nate Diaz. He split his first two meetings with Nate Diaz already. Now, ideally, McGregor would like to end the year with a rematch against Nurmagomedov if he is still champion, but Nurmagomedov is scheduled to fight Tony Ferguson in April after previously agreeing to face him 4 other times. Can you believe that? This is the 5th time this fight has been signed. So it's been disrupted each of the 4 times before this because of injury, illness, freak accidents, all kinds of stuff. So, but if McGregor does get his way, he could stand to rake in more than he's ever collected from the UFC in a calendar year. The last time McGregor fought 3 times in 1 year was in 2016. That's the year he split with Diaz, and then he came back to become a 2-division champion after he stopped Eddie Alvarez at UFC 205. That year, McGregor made at least $7.7 million from his purses in 2016. Obviously, we know he could have made more than that, and more than likely did make more than that. But that's the reported amount. Now, there's every reason to believe that he grossly exceed that number in 2020 if he gets the 3 fights that are on his radar. McGregor is arguably an even bigger star now than he was in 2016, despite having taken the 2 losses that we talked about. Also, the UFC's power, influence, and reach, I think, has been augmented by its TV and streaming deal with ESPN. So I would be shocked if McGregor didn't rake in far more than $10 million from his disclosed purses in this whole utopian 2020 concept that he has, and even more in reality, because that reported purse doesn't include pay-per-view points or other factors that can drive up a fighter's take-home. McGregor has been involved in the main event in 5 of the UFC's 6 most purchased pay-per-view shows. Think about that for a second. Of the top 6 shows in UFC history from a pay-per-view buy standpoint, McGregor has headlined 5 of them. That trend is probably going to continue in 2020, and it's going to get even bigger, of course, if he beats Cerrone. The UFC hasn't yet been able to produce the huge pay-per-view numbers since they took the distribution deal with ESPN, but that could change in 2020. If the UFC can get 3 McGregor-related headline cards, plus this rumored Floyd Mayweather Jr. crossover event that nobody really knows all the heads or tails yet, and then perhaps 3 John Jones fights, because John fights in February, so it's very possible he could fight 3 times. And then imagine a Francis Ngannou title bout. The promotion could do some huge numbers in 2020. Historically, the UFC's biggest year from an average pay-per-view buy standpoint was in 2016. Back then, the promotion averaged 655,000 buys per show. That was indeed a special year because the promotion reaped the benefits of having its 3 biggest stars all in action that year. McGregor fought 3 times. Brock Lesnar fought. Ronda Rousey fought that year. So obviously those are huge pay-per-view buys or huge shows. Not every show is going to end up that way, and it'll be hard to duplicate that success because there is it's kind of like catching lightning in a bottle. But there is still some serious potential for a special year in 2020 for the UFC and Conor McGregor. So I can't wait to see what actually takes place. But of course, McGregor has to beat Donald Cerrone first. That's all I got for you today. I appreciate you watching as always. God bless and peace.